I was talking about this the other day. Since school, I went on a YTS at Kellogg's at Trafford Park. I then got a job at the post office working behind the counter. I then, somewhat foolishly, doing hospital radio, sent a demo tape to a radio station in Stoke. And at the age of 18, they employed me. And that's it. That's been my career for the last 35 years. And if I found myself out of work now, I wouldn't know where to start. I wouldn't know where to start with a CV, how to prepare for an interview, which is ironic considering that's a large part of my job. Well, one man who has no problem with that is the former Apprentice contestant Kayode Darmali. He's faced one of the toughest bosses on TV, of course, in Sir Alan Sugar. He gives motivational speeches to young people, so perfect person to give us some tips about this. Morning, Kayode.
Yes, Phil, how's it going?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Yeah, it is harrowing, isn't it? If you've not done it for a long time, if it's your first time in front of somebody doing an interview, God, the mind goes into overdrive, doesn't it? So what would be your advice?
Yes, I mean, in terms of my interview tips, it's crazy. Like, what do you say? You haven't had to change jobs for, what, 20 years? Is that what you said?
Yeah, more than that, yeah.
Wow. So that's, I mean, even if people are in a situation where they haven't had to switch job for 20 years, or even if they're in a situation whereby they're applying for the first job for the first time, I think the kind of tips I want to give you is applicable to both. And I think that one of the first things is that you want to be prepared. I mean, because when it comes to interviews, you have to realize that there's only a default set of questions that people ask you. You're going to get the ones like, you know, your typical tell me about yourself, or what are your strengths, or what are your weaknesses. And I mean, you can kind of almost prepare for those in advance because they're what kind of asked. I mean, the only question I guess you couldn't have prepared for in 2015, if they asked you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I don't think anyone could have guessed that where we would be in 2020 today. But other than that, you've got typical questions that are going to come up again and again.
And in that respect, you know, trying to sell yourself, that's funny, isn't it? Because I suppose you can oversell yourself, but then you can undersell yourself. I suppose it's just pitching it just right, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I would rather pitch myself as overconfident than underconfident. So we had crazy rain and stuff like that last night, right? And I'm sure that maybe some people might need their roof fixed. And who do you want? The guy who comes to you and inquires about, hey, you know, I might be able to fix your roof, or who seems a bit unconfident? Or would rather the guy come to you and say to yourself, like, listen, I'll fix your roof. Like, what do you want? Asphalt, concrete, metal, vinyl? You want the guy who's confident to do the job for you. So just like if someone's doing a job for you, whether it's fix your roof, do your plumbing, you got to put yourself confident across that table when you go to an interview. Remember, confidence sells, and the interview is absolutely key.
Do you know, I know so many people that would say, I've got no confidence, you know, I've got no belief in myself. You know, these people that are desperately looking for work that probably go on almost this cycle of negativity, thinking, well, I'm not going to get it. How do you put yourself in a positive frame of mind and actually give yourself that confidence?
I think the fact that you've actually got the interview, you should be confident. You have to be confident because, like you said, we're now in a recession. So many people, I saw a quote from, I think it was like a restaurant. They said that when they usually put out the vacancy for the role, they usually get say 20 to 30 applicants, but now they're getting thousands. So the fact that you are literally getting to the interview stage means that they already see something in you. So now you got to see what they see in you, see it in yourself, because they can see something in you to doing it.
Do you think you have to sell yourself, or do you think you have to show that you're the right person for the job? Because you were saying there, you know, it's all about belief, isn't it? But I suppose at some point you've got to say, actually, you know, here's the job, tick, tick, tick. I can fill all of those qualifications.
Yes, just like when it comes to anything in selling, because you're selling, whether you're selling a product or a service like on your Apprentice, or whether you're selling yourself, it's not, you got to change your view from, it's not me, all about me. It's what can I do for you? So it's, yes, you're selling yourself, but it's what can you do for that employer at the end of the day? Because that's all they, you know what, it's like everyone, when you see yourself in when you look at yourself in a group photo, the first person you're going to look at is yourself. People only care about your them. So you got to ask yourself, what can you do for the person sitting across the table for them to hire you?
Do you know, you've got a very wise head on young shoulders, Kayode. I like this. I'm learning from this. Just finally, I mean, there is the thing, isn't there, that you talk to young people. Do you find that young people are confident, or especially what's happened in the last 6 months, will this have knocked confidence, do you think, about their chances?
What I find with the young people that I speak to is that I even found it myself, to be honest with you, Phil, is that you're used to being in that bubble. You're at school, you're always amongst people, your peer group. But I remember when I left school and went into the big world, it's like for the first time I was interacting, not to disrespect anybody listening, but the first time I was interacting with 40-year-olds. I was like, man, like, I've never been around these type of people before, so I'm not necessarily that confident. So I find that young people are confident in their own silos, in their own age groups. But the minute they step into the outside world, it's all of a sudden they see themselves as the youngest, and that's something that they need to get over.
Just finally, I love the fact that in some interviews you get a very random question, don't you? Which I suppose is a real tester, isn't it? So I'm going to throw one at you, Coyote. I'm going to throw you one. Okay, Cody, right, you sat in front of me after the job as the new BBC Radio Manchester breakfast presenter. First question, Coyote, what do you think of garden gnomes?
Garden gnomes, I think they're absolute legends because even though they are small in size, they create a massive impact in the garden. And if I was to come to be a BBC Radio Manchester interviewee, I might come in as small because I'm new, but I'm still going to create massive impact online.
Damn, you're better than I am. You've got the job. Coyote, thank you for that. All the very best. Cheers, bud.
Take care, Phil.
And don't forget, you can find all the listings of all the jobs that we're advertising on BBC Radio Manchester on our website, bbc.co.uk/Radio Manchester.